go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another of your favorite dumpster fires here with Blaster Pro and Disco. Notice there is no Matt. We ate him.
There is absolutely no Matt, and that was probably your choppiest one ever.
My brain was not working.
I know, that's what it was. We were just goofing off right until we started tonight. So, yeah, no Matt. We do not know when or ever if Matt will ever be back again. Is that about right?
Other than you, nobody really misses Matt.
I desperately miss Matt. Looks like you got a bunch of people on already.
I did it.
Oh, I thought this was live. This is live.
Kind of.
No.
I thought the intro was too well prepared.
Oh. That's our director. That's all his work. Our director / executive producer / editor / what else does he have? Voice actor /
Spaceship designer.
running mission control.
I need to do something with that.
It was. We tried to design it to be as 80s sitcom-y as possible. And actually, you're seeing a recently updated version because this guy was in the hospital when we originally shot it.
Which is where I was today.
So anyway, sir, how are you? Go ahead. Let's just give us all the things that have happened.
Okay, so I am diabetic. I had a lesion in one of my feet. Went to the doctor, got set up to go to wound care. When I was getting up to go to wound care, I bashed my toe and broke it. So it's been a fun day.
So he has one foot that is necrotic. And he has another foot that is just crippled now, broken.
And I'm wearing really cool looking shoes.
So he's wearing like granny orthopedic socks and he's wearing flip-flops he's wearing one medical sandal and a different type of medical sandal on the other side. So yeah. You are going to be like our Captain Pike soon. You're just going to be in a machine, and you're just going to have.
I won't have
like
to talk.
Lights,
I don't have to talk to anybody. I just the beat button.
Whoa! Oh well. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Last week we had a very large discussion about. Actually, it got sidetracked several times, and we actually never did lay out the process of scaling. And tonight we're going to do photograph scaling, and we're going to talk about Hayden, are you ready?
Oh, Jesus.
We're also going to discuss parallax again.
And for those of you just tuning in, the word of the day is parallax, and every time you hear it, you have to take a drink.
It is parallax, yes. That has turned into the new Blaster Pro drinking game, Parallax. Anyway. Yeah. So anyway, before we get to that, we always bring up Etsy, and the Etsy store is very busy lately. It has been very busy since Christmas, and it's a little bit behind. So if you're tuning in from the Etsy world tonight, I will let you know I am working hard to get everything out as fast as possible. There's been a little bit of shortage of materials and a large shortage of time. But things are moving. There's going to be about 4 orders going out this week, including one helmet, which we haven't done a Royal Guard helmet in a long time.
Hey, while you're at it, you want to do my Larry projects?
No. We'll get to Larry later on. Isn't that the villain in Green Lantern? Parallax. Also, Parallax. If you want to see on Etsy, my entire inventory is not there due to the fact that I have not gone through and taken photos of all my blasters built with orange tips. So if you ever want to see what my full inventory of blasters currently is, you can always go to BlasterProShop.com. It's a broken website. We don't know how to build websites, and frankly, I haven't been there for a year. Have you? I know it still works. I just paid paid up the the domain name again. So it still works. It's up. We were trying to come up with a way to do orders through PayPal, and
We hit a brick wall.
we hit a brick wall on a
Brand
few things, but we'll eventually work it out and make it so that, because I do need an alternate place to be able to sell props from besides Etsy.
OnlyFans?
That's a good idea.
We're starting already, Rodney.
Shut up, Rodney. Got it.
Anyway, moving on. Oh, up to the Etsy thing. I am putting forth. Last year we had a thing where we were doing and giving away a blaster every month, and the blaster we were giving away was the new photo blaster for Etsy.
Squarespace.
So anyway, we're not doing that anymore. What we're going to be doing is I am just going to be taking. I bought more resin than I needed, so just to go ahead and bite the bullet and start building all the kits I can and get them back up. And we're planning to get photos done. I got to get them to our photographer. That's another title. Get these to Hayden. This week I'm planning to get 2 DL44s, the only 2 DL44 kits that I have that are not on Etsy yet. One is so what'll be going up, the 2 that are not there, because I think the A&H Hero, A&H Greedo Killer, ESB Hoth, and the ESB Stunt are up, but what's coming, and it's not up yet, is the ESB Bespin and the Return of the Jedi. And which was crazy because the ESB Bespin, when it was running, was the best-selling blaster of all time. It finally beat the Mirror Sun Power 5, and it just kept going and going and going. Now the Mirror Sun Power 5 is kind of crept up and is beating it again.
Oh, a lot of new officers and flight guys?
Yeah. Anyway, also, what else will be going up is the DT21. That's the Greedo blaster, and there are 2 versions that I offer. There is the Greedo version, and then there is a Jawa version that has a Han Solo flash suppressor turned on upside down, and that's the Jawa version. And that's actually the Jawa version has been very popular because it's kind of like a total custom blaster. It was never screen seen. It was a production photo. They may have been on screen. You just never pick them up because they may have been stuffed in the Jawa's belt or whatever. But there is some photos from A New Hope with a Jawa holding the DT21 with a Han Solo Hero version flash suppressor on it upside down.
Did you discover that with Parallax?
I did not discover that with Parallax.
Oh, shit.
You know, this is a bad thing now that we're getting you into this. Also, in the works, now those are all blasters that already have molds and they're pretty much ready to go for production. They were already in production and they're ready to go for production now. There's a few blasters that I've been working on. I'm gonna make it a point to work on 2 blaster kits a month for new blasters. One is the one we'll talk about here in a minute. The other one is the Return of the Jedi E11. If anyone's familiar, the Return of the Jedi E11 is not Sterling. It's not a Sterling submachine gun. A&H and ESB and even Rogue One, Andor, all those are all Sterling E11s. The Return of the Jedi, they are Model Gun Corporation Sterling replicas, and that's what they used. The reason why I'm doing that is because I need to get that kit done so I can move on to other kits that I really want to do, and that is the Hoth DH-17 and the Andor DH-17. And those are both based on the Model Gun Corporation frame as opposed to the Sterling frame. The A&H is Sterling-based. ESB DH-17 is Model Gun Corporation based. So,
well, you better hurry up. We only got 7 more months till con season.
I know. those are kits I've been working on. I have kits that I've been working on for like 5 years. So the Model Gun Corporation Sterling replica is very hard to find. And when you do find, I mean, it's amazing that this blank firing replica is harder to find than the actual Sterling submachine gun itself. I've owned dozens of the Sterlings, but I've never been able to find. I have found, and they were not, what would you say? They were not, I couldn't afford them. Well, I'm just working on 2 a month. Whether I get them done or not, the one kit is 90% done. The other kit is 60% done. So they're already both kits that I've already worked on. And then what I plan to do next month are these 2 DH-17 versions, and that is a lot of crossover. So that means I'm really not doing that much work. It's not like I'll be building a blaster from scratch. These are a lot of the Return of the Jedi E11 molds will carry over to both DH-17s, and that's why I can quickly do those and not actually really get overwhelmed. The Andor, when we get to that point, I do want to have I want to have an E11 night, and I want to have a DH-17 night. I really do want to have a full-on blaster discussion on those 2 blasters.
How's Wrecker going?
I don't have Matt. If I had Matt here more often and Matt was here consistently, Wrecker would be moving well along.
Can't we just make a fake Matt?
I have all his measurements
We had the technology.
We do have the technology. We can build him.
We just take a sheepdog and
We can rebuild him.
Foam to it, and then we're good to go.
All right. Looks like we covered all the Etsy and BlasterPro's shop.com. Anyway, all right, let's move on to this month's contest. This month's contest is going to be, as always, the last Tuesday of the month. This month, it's on the 31st, the absolute last day of the month. We're going to do boring old, what we started with and what we ran for the first year or 2 by itself. 20 questions trivia. It'll be 3, it'll be original trilogy based, just as always. Maybe some behind the scenes stuff. We don't know yet. And the prize is going to be an SE14. And the SE14 is the other kit I'm working to get done this month. So I don't even know where it's at. Pull it out. All right. Anyway, the SE14 is going to be the giveaway blaster this month. And hopefully I'll have all the molds done and the finished original, very first created blaster, which used to be what Matt used to get. Matt used to get the first of every blaster because there was always maybe something a little off. It's me learning how the molds work and how to pour them. And the first one normally isn't going to be the best one. Sometimes it is the best one. I've nailed it. I've gotten pretty good at thinking upside down and in reverse. So I've gotten pretty good at my first pull of a mold. It usually works, but these are all new molds. I've never cast any of these parts before. So the first one is always a giveaway. It was always a tradition we used to do around the shop, would be the first giveaway. Matt got a lot of them. So now it's the tradition that one of you guys out there gets it. So, yes, that'll be the 31st. 20 questions, trivia, original trilogy, and you have not said a word.
No, because I've been good. I had a great idea for the game this week or month.
Okay, what do you want to do, like the trivia topic?
No, I want to have the best game ever. Guess what's in Matt's pocket?
No. And, Rodney, you just gained no score. You know what would be fun is if we haven't done it in a long time, but pick a topic and do our 20 questions trivia on that. Like
how many times over the course of the month did you get a shut up, Rodney?
Well, yeah, but you remember when we did we do what for last year's Christmas? We did the holiday special. Did we do Jeopardy? Was that the game we played?
You vetoed all of my questions.
To join Squarespace. Squarespace is jeez. All right, you're supposed to be paying attention to them out there.
You're thinking I can read that.
Oh, really? Do we need to move the screen closer? There we go.
Hey!
Is that better?
Yes! Fantastic. Teleprompter art, go.
Hayden just changed the font size to normal person to grandmother mode. You know how you got the normal buttons on a phone are like this and grandma buttons are this big?
Sorry, that's another one of my issues. Every 10 weeks I get to get an eyeball injection now.
And still he can't see.
Nope.
So anyway, I didn't even know. I was going to pull out the SE14, show what status it is, but I don't see where I put the kit. Usually it's a mad scramble to set this all up. It doesn't look like we do a lot of work to set this up, but it is a lot of work because
stuff gets moved around.
The entire shop gets shut down and moved around, and it was sitting right here, but I moved it someplace else.
So what you're saying is I should have been paying attention to putting in.
I don't know where I put it. I know I put it someplace safe. Oh, I see it right there on top of the spray cans. All right. So,
do you want me to go get it?
No, you don't have to get it. Unless you guys out there want to see the status of the SE14.
Who wants to see the SE14? Straka, I know you do.
Silence. So anyway,
is anybody still watching this? Or are they
no, we got people. We got people. We got more.
I do to keep you going.
Please.
That's very pity.
All right, hey, grab it. You see it right over there? Why not? You don't want to hear us through the... Why do you have two placards in your mouth?
Because I found two.
Hey, are you supposed to shout out?
What am I supposed to shout out?
No, you can do all the shout outs you want.
Oh, for the love of God.
There you go.
He's talking about the podcast thing.
Oh. Yeah.
Even I figured this out.
Yeah, actually, I don't know enough, but you're more than welcome to shout it out on your end.
Jesus Christ, you mangled that helmet mold.
Dude, the helmet mold is dead. I decided the that mold.
The repair mold?
We're not doing any more. Matter of fact, we're pulling down the Royal Guard. That's the last one. We're not doing anymore.
Okay, so it's nothing I broke. Okay.
It's nothing you broke. Oh, you're still owed a Royal Guard, aren't you?
No, we decided that I was going to get the other helmet, whatever the hell that was, because we're doing the Mando Squad this year. I swear to God.
Okay, so you're off the Royal Guard and on. Okay, here we go.
Make it easier.
So, I'm going to explain a little bit behind reasons behind what I've done here. I could easily have taken an SE14 3D print and cleaned it up and done everything to make it accurate to the real gun.
You think you're going to have to redo all that now that you have twice the resolution?
No, this is dumbed down resolution anyway. Anyway, so what I've done is I've gone through and I've constructed a lower receiver assembly for the SE14 scaled properly to the real gun. I got some measurements of an actual SE14. And it's actually it's what is it rated anyway. I scaled it to the real gun. So the actual finished blaster will actually be a pipe build. We'll have a PVC pipe barrel, which will sit on here, and it will accept a bolt assembly, which will go into your receiver tube. And we have a charging lever. I machined a accurate charging lever, and boom. So this will, the reason why I built it like this is the SE14 has a dust cover that moves, and sometimes it's open, sometimes it's closed. The original photo that we all reference back to is a Harrison Ford photo in TK armor, probably A&H, around A&H post or pre, we're not sure, holding the SE14 blaster with the dust shield up and a scope on top.
I thought it was a lobby card.
Anyway, this blaster was seen in the cantina holding the disembodied arm of what was it Honda?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway,
And Alien. Don't forget
that
Alien.
blaster was on the floor, and it was in the 2-scope configuration with the dust shield open. See, I study way too much and have way too much stupid knowledge. So what would happen with the dust shield is, in the Han situation, the dust shield was open, but if you close the dust shield, the scope will move around to the side. In the version of the one in the cantina, it had 2 scopes, or maybe 3 scopes, and they were over to the left. So that means they were mounted when it was closed, and then it was open, and they fell over to the left. So
I like him. Can we keep him?
Yeah. Yes, and I hated the fact that they threw them into Rogue One, to be honest. I thought that was a little too much fan service. I think the Star Wars galaxy is large enough that we could just have seen them one time in one place in the cantina, and that would have been good enough.
You actually started that build when I built my god-awful one?
Yes, I did. So everything is completed. I have an extra. This one here is the machined, already tooled scope mount. The only thing I actually do not have made for this is the sight. And I also do not have the template for the dust shield. The dust shield is going to be made out of the same diameter PVC as this. So it'll snap and grip on and just stay on its own. And you will mount your scope to the dust shield. So if I'm hoping to figure out a way to do flush, because I'm going to experiment with this once the blaster's built, with flush mounting screws, or mounting and then grinding the screws so the dust shield can be moved, so you could actually take your scope and have it slide over to the side. Or if you mount it with the dust shield closed, it'll slide over to the left side. So I'm giving this blaster the ability to function in real world like the original gun did. The original gun had that dust shield that closed.
You'd have tracks on there where they would go in. You'd have the dust shield on top of that, so it would slide.
So actually, to close the dust shield, you have your charging lever. You pull your charging lever back and into the safe lock position right here. And once that's there, there's a channel cut out for the charging lever to be here, but not down here. So the gun is locked in the open bolt position with the dust shield down, which I kind of think makes sense. Now, there was a very weird thing getting into guns, and this was a blowback submachine gun style, very similar to the way the Sterling works. But what is weird, what is strange about this one is the front half of this bolt, when you charge the gun, say there was no round in it, and you charged the gun, pulled it back, and then let it free, the sear would stop half the bolt in the rear, and the front half would chamber around. So and the firing pin is in the forward bolt, and the rear half of the bolt is locked into position. And now it works as just a hammer to fire, to come down, set off the firing pin, fire the round, and the whole thing would blow back. And when the sear stops the main bolt from coming back, the forward section will go back and chamber another round. It was actually kind of a weird design for a blowback style submachine gun. I think they were doing that to remove some of the mass moving forward.
Yeah, that would
to help
improve your accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you ever dry fire a Sterling, if you ever get a chance to dry fire a Sterling submachine gun, like I get to, you'll realize, excuse me, when you pull that trigger, there is a lot. And when it comes forward, and it'll actually, it'll jar the gun. It'll come through with a fairly decent amount of force. So having half the bolt already up there and then just a firing pin with the second half coming down to set it off, kind of would maybe. I've never messed with one of these guns. These guns are super rare. I've only found one person that's done a video on YouTube or anywhere. I've only found reference on one of them.
Gun Jesus?
No, and it wasn't even Gun Jesus. It was some Brit that got a hold of one. So most of these went to the Turkish military. If I don't know if you knew that or not, but the Turks were the only ones that ordered them for military use. They were the only ones that adopted into military use. And the barrel is really they designed it to be configurable to be surprisingly, I've never seen him do a video on this gun. Although I haven't watched him lately. I need to be a subscriber to Gun Jesus. He is a wealth of information. And that new series we were talking about, I was going to reference some of his videos in that discussion. So we need to.
So is this for protecting Istanbul or Constantinople?
I have no idea.
Istanbul.
But I know the Turkish army, the Turkish military were the only ones to ever adopt this into military service. So, but this is the SE14. This is what the giveaway this month will be. This whoever wins will get the very first one I ever make, and I'm excited. I should have finished this one well over a year ago, and I put it on the shelf. I can't remember what reason I put it away, but when I pulled it out, I was like, "Wow, I was that close, and I didn't finish it." So.
Side quest. That's why.
Side quests. Oh, another thing is, I am not casting a scope for this blaster. I found some affordable airsoft/BB gun scopes that are accurate to the gun. So you will be getting a see-through actual scope. Now, the funny thing is, for the single scope configuration, the scope is backwards. You got to take the scope off and it flips around. And I think in the multiple scope configuration, the scopes is one's backwards and one's forwards. So you have a fat end and then a fat end. And they're so right now the scope is backwards. And that is accurate. That's how they're set up for the single scope setups. And I think that's it. That's good for that. We're going to put that away.
Back to Parallax?
We're getting to it.
You missed it. I said the magic word of the day.
All right, sir. Wake up. All right. So you got that thing loaded up for me? All right. So tonight, it was a project I was going to start, or actually started a couple, back when Obi-Wan, the series was on Disney Plus. And I went through great lengths to buy, hey, Jeff, to purchase one of these Mark, I can't remember what it is, a Mark's
air gun.
Yeah, it's an air gun. It's a pellet gun. And that's the base for Obi-Wan's blaster pistol in the Obi-Wan series. I went all the way up to the point where I found one that was not in working condition, which is all I need. I don't need one that actually works and shoots. What I needed was the actual gun itself, and I could not get one. I found one for 140 pounds, which I was more than happy to pay for, but the laws in Britain are difficult, and I would have to I'd have to hire a gun broker to buy the gun, then fill out all the paperwork, do the permits, and then have it shipped here. And that was going to cost about $600. So I asked him, can you just part a gun out to me? Sell me the frame. So what they have are what's called controlled, I think they're called controlled parts. Anyway, so any pressure bearing part of a firearm / pellet gun in England is considered a firearm. Unlike here in the United States, the receiver only is considered the firearm. Like you can have barrels, you can have magazines, you can have all the pieces of a gun and not have a gun unless you have the receiver. The receiver is the only part that's really a gun. So being different, meaning the barrel is a pressure load, holds pressure bearing mechanism, the spring, all the components of the gun, the frame, everything is considered a gun. The grips are not considered a gun. So the only thing that I could get for that pellet gun were grips. So here's the grips I got right now, right here. They are a replacement set of grips. They're replica grips. They're casts of originals. I bought them through a gunsmith or a gun. He's more like his gunsmith, but he does restoration work. And one of his things is he restores these pellet guns.
So it's like a CNR guy?
Yeah. So anyway, in the process of doing these, he knew that eventually the old stock of these Webley grips was going to run out. So he took it upon himself to create his own for the restoration work that he does, and he sold me a set.
How many of those Webley pistols are out in the wild anyway?
I don't know. I believe this model was popular in the 50s and 60s. This is a 2. This is a Mark II, I believe. So anyway.
No one can see where you're pointing at.
I know. So Hayden, throw up the picture. That is actually, go ahead and put this in split screen also. So that is the basically that is the frame of Obi-Wan Kenobi's blaster pistol from the Kenobi series, and I have got a set of grips. So if you remember in last week's discussion, you need, when you have a photograph, or you need to scale from a photograph or a photograph or a screen capture, you need some sort of reference, some sort of hopefully something in the photo or a piece on the prop is a recognizable piece that you know what the size is. Or if you're scaling something larger, like Hayden and I, we were talking about scaling an old warship, and we had no real good frame of reference, and I looked right in the middle of the picture. I said, there's a guardrail right there, or a handrail. And I said, let's figure out what the average height or the standard height of a handrail is. And we did that. And from there, we kind of could extrapolate some sizes. And for this particular project, I have the grips. So I can sit right here and measure the grip with my calipers here. I can measure their length. I can measure the width. And I can use all these measurements to scale that photograph. So we do have the issue of parallax, but
he said the word of the day.
It doesn't matter. He can only have one thing loaded in media at a time. So we're going to go with keeping this. Yeah, we're keeping this loaded in media. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to give you my formula, and it's the formula anyone else uses to scale a photograph. And on top of that, we're also going to talk about sources. There are places, there's tricks, not really tricks, but there's places you should look for photos, not just on screen grabs. Screen grabs are great, like the Obi-Wan blaster. There's really not too many other sources I can find right now for that blaster. It hasn't had a chance to do the Comic-Con circuit. There's not been a celebration where they've got an Obi-Wan zone set up, at least not that I know of, and I haven't seen any photos from any of those yet. But a great reference if you're scaling or reproducing any props from The Mandalorian is The Last Celebration. They had a whole Mandalorian zone, and if you go online, you can find hundreds of photos that people have taken and documented for or of a lot of those props. Parts of Star Wars has a good write-up on the blaster. See, now, I knew the blaster, I knew what the Mando's blaster was prior to, I knew what it was, its base was, prior to the Mandalorian
Yes, you were
popping up. I was so excited. I
excited.
was like, oh, my stupid gun knowledge has come into, whatever. But anyway, so the places I look, well, here's one thing. It's also important to have as many reference photos as you possibly can. And this is a Jeff failing, and it's also a few other people that do this. They'll bring photos and reference stuff to me that turn out to be fan-made or replicas.
Oh, yeah, that's a pain in the ass on my current project.
So whenever you go search the web, the first thing you have to do is start searching through mountains and mountains and mountains of other people's creations and projects. And some of them are really good. And I'm not saying they're not wrong, and I'm not saying they're not accurate. I'm just saying is I need better evidence. I need more source proof than someone else's creation to put something together. So multiple photos is a must. For me, my favorite place to find them are auction houses. Number one, since I do a lot of blasters and a lot of Star Wars, a majority, I would say 80% of Star Wars blasters are based on real guns. Identifying the real gun and then going and finding an auction house. This was at an auction house, and I have there are probably 15 or 20 photos of this particular pellet gun in the auction house. This side, the other side, top, bottom, close-ups of the front, close-ups of the back, close-ups all over. So with those photos, that really helps you a lot in taking your measurements and using the formula we're going to talk about here in a second, and using that formula from one end of the prop to the other, and using areas with like the parallax. Now, if you saw the parallax, it was put up a couple times. Basically, parallax is a distortion that happens because of the.
Oh, shoot, I don't have parallax loaded.
Go ahead, throw parallax up.
For people not paying attention.
Yeah, for people not paying attention, here's parallax.
Does that include us?
Yes.
Absorb it like a sponge.
Now, keep in mind, he's doing it the old school way. The new school way is to throw it into CAD and measure it from there.
So, yes, now we're going to talk about new school stuff later on. Next week we will. But this week we're talking about the old school. Now, I will tell you how old school I am. I remember pausing VHS cassette and putting a piece of paper up against and tracing the shape of a prop so I could take it into the wood, take it into the garage and create that shape out of wood, and then start connecting all the. Yeah, I've been doing this all my life. I have done this on the original Star Trek television show. I've done this on Star Trek The Next Generation for a phaser, and I can't remember what phaser it was. It may have been. Is it the Cardassians that had the brown, lumpy, big-looking things?
Are you talking about the disruptor from the Klingons?
No, it wasn't the Klingons. It was a Cardassian when I tried to rip.
Well, brown and lumpy says Klingon.
No, Klingons are pointy.
Have little tubes on
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a dildo.
Cardassians kind of look more like a Buck Rogers blaster, I think.
So.
In TNG, they did. They're different in DS9.
I'm cold.
So anyway, I've done this more than once. I've done it for helmets. I've done it for guns, blasters. I've done it for knives and, well, actually swords. So anyway,
Oh yeah, I remember the.
so like I said, the best places to find them. So if it's a real world item, you can find it in an auction house. You can literally find them in an auction house, and tons of great reference photos. And on top of all that, sometimes they'll even have a tape measure, like on the bottom of the photograph. The next best place to find stuff are movie auctions. Movie auctions will actually have the best photographs of a real used prop, because they're selling it, so you need to see all the detail and all the stuff. And what's good, if it's like if it's a good prop house, movie prop house, they have already authenticated the item, so you already know what you're seeing is the real deal, and they'll tell you, is it a stunt, is it a hero prop, is it a stunt prop, is it a holster stuffer, is it a background character. All those things have bearing on the detail of the prop. The prop of all props is always the hero prop, the one that's the close-up, that gets the close-up shots. A hero prop also might be the one that's actually a real true firearm and will fire blanks and have a poof of smoke and flame come out the barrel. That's true for Star Wars. Han Solo's DL-44, A New Hope, and actually all of them they're hero versions of them, and there were stunt versions, and the stunt versions were also kind of like their holster stuffers. The stunt versions were lightweight, and you could also stuff it in the holster, and it didn't pull Harrison Ford's gun belt off.
Well, the shots coming out of it, the amount of flame coming out of it, was how they ended up with the Thompson as the base for the pulse rifle for Alien.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah. And plus, here's another thing. Certain guns work better as a blank firing gun as not. And it's due to the fact that the Thompson, the Sterling submachine gun, and a lot of others, even the broom handle Mauser pistol, they're all blowbacks. So they need a certain amount of propellant charge to cycle forward.
Overgassed.
Yeah. If they don't have it properly set up, and they can lighten the springs to make them cycle under a lower load, which is actually very easy to do on a lot of these guns.
Can also restrict the barrel.
Actually, lots of times they'll stretch the coils and then clip, and then it's a blank firing. Some of these prop making / gunsmiths, props / gunsmiths, or gunsmiths really / prop makers, they know how to tune these blank firing guns to fire full automatic with very few problems. But anyway, let's get to the formula. Recap real quick. Internet searches, make sure it's not someone else's work. It's not a replica or fan-made item. 2, my favorite place to find them, if it's a real-world item like a gun, gun auction houses. Like I said, those are one of the best places to go. And then for props, if you can't find a good screen capture or anything like that, check the auction houses. There are auctions, and a lot of the auction houses, when they throw up a catalog for a particular auction, they'll end up being stored in an inventory that you can still go back and look at in the past. So you can go back and look a couple years back and say, oh yeah, you remember they had that whole run of Star Wars helmets and, from A New Hope and all this stuff. You can go back and look at that auction. Those photos still exist and are still out there most of the time. As soon as I find them, I take screen grabs or right click and copy those photos, because every one of my computers that I send any real time with have full folders just full of reference photos, and I have DVDs full of photos from old computers that need to be uploaded into my newer computer. Hayden knows what I'm talking about. He's seen the mess of stuff I've got.
Oh man, your photos are like my music.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so those are the places I find them. And you know what? Here's a little tidbit. We haven't talked about this, and it just popped into my head because we're thinking about auctions and Hollywood auctions or film auctions as opposed to gun auctions. I went down the A&H Hero hole pretty hardcore a while back, and that was during the time that they had at Rock Island, wasn't it? It was at Rock Island, which if you're a Gun Jesus fan, you know Rock Island Auction House because he spends a lot of time there and goes through the collections that they have there. So anyway, Rock Island sold the Han Solo DL-44 A New Hope Hero version. There were some issues with it. Number one, why was it not in the hands of the film community auction houses? Because that's where the people who will pay the big money are. And I believe the reason why that gun never went through is because
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no!
what happened? Sexual explosion.
From upstairs.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
Wow.
Hayden's doing some cleanup. Anyway, the reason why I believe it did not go to any of the high-end movie auction houses, that would be like a crown jewel for those guys. But see, here's the thing.
Didn't you do a whole episode on this?
I may have. I can't remember. But here's the thing. They authenticate. And I believe the only thing that could have been authenticated on that blaster is the scope and a portion of the scope mount. I don't think anything else was actually original, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's not like they write down, I use this serial number to make this.
Well, see, here's the thing. And I've been wondering about this, and I'm not being able, my own pursuits in this have not been able to come up with this answer. And the answer is, how many bullnose Mauser conversions were built for what's that one? What was the movie, Hayden? Silent Prey or whatever it was. Sitting Prey, whatever it was. The Sinatra movie. How many Mausers were made for that? And to be honest, I believe there was probably only one that was made for that because it was only shot in one scene. It was broken out, and you want to see shot for shot. You can see Frank Sinatra assemble in the same process that Woody Harrelson disassembles the DL-44 carbine setup in Solo. It's a shot for shot in reverse of what Frank Sinatra did when he put the gun together. You never see him break it down, but if you saw him put it together, it's the same process in reverse that Woody Harrelson does in reverse in Solo.
You mean that was a real gun?
No.
That was kind of, I imagine that was actually an homage to that scene from the movies. Because there's no reason to actually make Han Solo's pistol a carbine. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's get on back to reading sidetrack.
We got 10 minutes left.
I get
like
sidetracked
blaster.
easy when I start talking about blasters.
You know, one of those Nerf blasters?
Yeah.
That you have like 5 billion parts for, and you put the extra barrel on to make it shoot less.
All it does is actually add friction.
Yeah, and it
So anyway, you know what? This is an open-ended process. We can go as long as we want. Remember one night we went for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that was a bit of a... We ended up hunting a frog.
Yeah, that was a weird night. So anyway, here we go. We're going to get down to the formula. Hayden, pull up that photograph and put me in split screen.
Split screen?
Yeah.
I don't think you're at split screen.
Well, Picture in picture.
Now make us go around the edge.
Now, do you know how to make us bigger?
Yeah, but it takes some time.
It doesn't take time. It just.
Well, I can only do it. You need to.
I can only do one thing
All
at
right.
once.
So
Dad.
anyway, so what we're going to do is, the formula is your reference divided by the measurement from the pick equals your key. So what that means is I am going to first measure the grip. I know how, for example, from
There it is.
yeah.
You can't see it yet.
All right, there you go. Let's see what we look like. They can see it as it happens.
Hey,
There you go. Hey.
we're almost big.
So put us in the top left-hand corner. So
Let me move it. I have to move it.
no, you don't.
Yes, I do.
It's in the
There's
button.
a button.
Oh no, that's
No, if I said it.
yes.
Look,
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's fine. It's fine. Bottom left is good. Bottom left is good. I forgot. It only sets the size for
Oh, I thought you disabled that when I was doing the around the world.
No, it's in its BIOS. You can't change it. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure from this point to the bottom of the grip. I've done this already. I've actually created, and it's a good idea, taking an area. That's why I folded this in half, because it only has the back half of this photo has the grip assembly on it. So I make a set of master measurements right here, so I can refer to those when I measure on my actual photograph. So I've made a measurements, and I'm going to use inches and decimal point. Tin Man Armor is here. That is Matt. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Where's Hernan?
I'm surprised not to see Hernan, and I'm not wearing the cap tonight. So, but Hayden's got glue on hand, so we're good.
You can tell me how warm it is in Chile.
Okay, so I've measured the photo. So the front edge of the left top edge, all the way to the bottom left edge on the actual grip itself is 3.95 inches. I'm using a digital caliper. I am using inches and not millimeters or metric, but I could use.
I think that's the person you made a deal with.
It is? I can't remember. It's Matt's job to remember everybody. The only reason I remember Tin Man Armor was because Matt
Dude,
always
just
said it
pull
was
up
Matt.
the freaking email. He didn't send it to me.
And to be honest, when Heidi popped up, we also knew that was Matt.
20 minutes.
It's true. Like when I was in the strip club, there were too many Tiffany's that worked there. I mean, that was real, like their real name were Tiffany. Anyway, so on that front edge of the grip from...
I think you made a deal, boss.
Yeah, you need to. Come on.
Did I make a deal? I don't remember making a deal.
Apple Podcasts.
I said I would watch.
That's the same guy. It has to be. It's the only thing that correlates.
Oh, for God's sake, even I figured it out. And I'm an idiot.
I figured it out. All right.
Pull up the freaking name of the Stupid Tidbits Fun Blaster podcast. Don't take your hat off. Come on.
Oh, the bald spot, the lighting in the studio. So anyway, we're getting off topic. All right, here we go.
Really?
Really?
I actually never worked with a cinnamon. Anyway, on our photo, I wish we had one of them things like in the NFL where we draw on the screen. We can do that. I so want to do that. Closest thing we have is an overhead projector.
No, we can't do that because all Matt will do is draw penises.
All you will do is draw penises.
No.
Okay, so on the front
I did all
edge,
other things.
the left top and the left bottom, it is 3.95 inches. On the photograph itself, on the photograph is actually pretty close to the actual size of the gun. It's 3.67. So you take the reference, which is the grip, and divide that by the measurement on the picture. And in this particular instance, it equals 1.05. And that will be your key. So any measurement now from on your picture will be multiplied by 1.05, and that will give you the scaled up plus or minus 10% of what it actually is. That's why, and I've done some comparisons because of PARALLAX. I wanted to see what the differences on PARALLAX was to the back side of the grip. So the top right and the bottom right I measured, and it was 3.1 inches. On the picture, it's 2.98 inches. And when you do the math on that, do the scaling, the reference divided by the measurement, it's 1.04. So already with just the difference between that to going out to the right, the outside, you're getting a little bit of a different measurement. So the more measurements you can take of your reference piece to help nail down a formula, you might actually, if you wanted to, you could take your average. So what I did is I got 3 more references, or 3 total references I could use, and those references range from 1.04 to 1.07. So I had a 1.04, a 1.05, and a 1.07. If I wanted to, I could make an average. Well, actually, I had decided to stick with the 1.05 because I don't go into beyond the hundredths decimal point. So I'm only going back 2 points or 2 places instead of 3, and I always round up in the rear. So when you go to do the math, so you want to check your math. So to find out how close you were, you go ahead and take the 1.05 and multiply it by the 3.76 for the front half of the grip, and it came back as 1.048. So then I rounded up to the 1.05. That's how I got that. So always round up. I always round up. It's over 5. Round up to the next number on the 3rd decimal point, or the 3rd numeral back. Anyway,
You just taught my entire trigonometry class.
yeah. So now this works when you just sit down and do a lot of messing with it. So we know. So since the measurements that are going to be the best or the most accurate are in the center, so we're looking at the trigger, and I would say the closest measurement we have to the center is the 1.05, which is the front half of the grip.
Do you want me to hold that up so you can point? Because they can't really tell what you're pointing at.
Well, they're looking at it. So
Yeah, but there's no...
no, it's not going to work. We should have an overhead camera. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, take your measurements closest from the center, and that's what I'm going to work with on this one. And what I was getting ready to say was, if you had like a top shot of this gun, which I do have in, like I said, in the photo set that I have for this auction, I have a perfect straight down. I have a perfect straight down shot of the top of the gun, straight on, perfectly straight, or perfectly square to the top of the gun. So I can measure from right here. I can measure from right here to right there in the center, and using the 1.05, using the 1.05, so here it is. It says it is 0.79. So 0.79, I'll write that down so I don't forget it. And multiply 0.79. You all right, Hayden?
I haven't even finished the fifth of the and I'm already happy.
All right. So we have
This is my fault, isn't it?
No, it's not. I'm not even that.
0.79 multiplied by 1.05 equals. So it's 0.82 inches.
This would have been better as a actual video.
A what?
An actual video.
Oh, we'll probably do an actual video on this. So it says it's 0.829, so 0.83 inches. So using the 0.83 inches, from a top-down view, since that part of the gun is a perfect circle because it's got actually has a spring and a piston and all that stuff inside there. From the top-down view, I can use the 0.83 inches as a scaling reference to reference that. So 0.83 would become my master or my reference point for the up straight down shot on the gun, to reference the width of, say, the in the rear parts, the width of the release mechanism, or I wanted to double check the piston rod on top. All those things, you can use that as the reference to scale out a different angle of the gun, and doing that and scaling more and more pieces of the gun. Like if you get a perfect shot at the end of the gun, and you already have a reference that would help you maybe even fine tune. The more measurements you make, the more you're able to fine tune your overall scaling. And remember, when you're going from photos, like I said, you're plus or minus 10%, plus or minus 10%. It just happens that way.
Unless you're Matt, then it's plus 20.
I am still very impressed you found this gun. We talked a few months ago. Oh, yeah, we did. We did talk about it, and I if you remember, I suspected it was a pellet gun to in the very beginning. And yes, I did find it, and no, I could not get one out of England. And here's the funny thing: I found 3 for sale in the United States.
How long ago?
At the same time.
Recently?
Whenever I did the research on this, which was last year, it's been a while. Whenever the Kenobi series was on. But here's the funny thing: they were so expensive because it's so expensive to get them. I can buy the gun literally for $150 in England, and then it's going to cost $600 to get it out. So these were $35. The grips were $35. So that's what I ended up doing. And you know what? To be honest, I like the challenge of just having this and creating that. And that's what I will eventually do. This is a project that we were going to do a while back, and it's due to life and the expo and a lot of other things getting in the way, we kind of shelved it. And I have started. There are pieces of this that I've already made. I just haven't gotten to a point to where I was going to finish it. But it is a very, very real future blaster project, for at least for me, just for fun and to have it. And then on top of that, if I have it, you guys out there should be able to get it from me.
You guys think we should do a mash up his blaster with my proton pack for the Mandos?
So that's you didn't even get to shut up Rodney on that.
I was not the
No.
one who suggested that when I started working on that.
No,
project.
you're actually right. You're right. We need to bring that in. You had a friend. No, this one almost always dies. The
That's
other
me.
one just has a crappy job, and he's always gone. You guest hosted for Rodney is actually usually either over here or over there in the shop. If he's over here, he's letting the blue smoke out.
Working on crap. Sometimes it works.
And then over here last week, you just sat in the corner and just had your feet in the thing, but your feet weren't that nearly messed up.
And heckled Matt.
It heckled Matt. So anyway, that is the scaling. That is the formula I use. The formula is, let me look it up again. Here it is. I always write it down because I always have to relearn it, even every time I do it.
Joe was the glue. No,
Joe
Joe was the elephant foot. Oh my God, it was so wonderful.
Joe was
Because his blood pressure was so high and he was so warm, I could just sit by him and it was wonderful.
I do miss when Joe was the go-to
Heating element?
heating element / guest host. Matter of fact, most of the
He could literally warm up a room.
most of the Matt's Back is that Hayden made. The video Matt's Back, the intro that Matt's Back, doesn't have you in it because that was all done in the Joe period. So your reference measurements, meaning the item that you know is the item that the reference measurements that you know are accurate or can assume to be accurate. Like this grip, I use this as my reference measurement because I had the grip and I could measure it and use it. So the formula is your reference measurement, such as the grip, divided by the measurement of the same item in the picture, and that equals your key. And I always write my keys on the top right hand of my page so I can refer to them. And up here on mine, I have 105, 104, and 107. And I circled the 105 because I decided the 105, I think, is the better measurement to use. And then to scale, use the measurement multiplied by the key, and that gives you your scaled size, and that's plus or minus 20%. I tend to make things a little bit bigger than they're supposed to be, and other people tend to make things a little bit smaller than they're supposed to be.
And Matt makes them really big.
He's talking about a BlasterPro Golden Era.
I
I don't really. I think it's more of a classic rather than golden.
if they're talking about the Golden Era, you were always upstairs. You weren't even a part of it.
Yeah.
You reluctantly took over in Joe's position, didn't you?
Yeah, because you tried me for one night and you said no.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing. Pull up our picture.
This picture?
Yes. Now put us in picture. And now
Let's save it.
start jumping us around all four corners.
Yeah.
Keep going. Stop. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep going. That is what it's like when Rodney is at Mission Control.
No, because somebody has to be hunting and a guy at Davita at the same time.
See, we can't. All right, go back to camera one. That is what it's like when Rodney is at Mission Control. I showed him how to do two things. Start the show and picture in picture so we can do reference and then talk to you guys at the same time.
There are more than 2 buttons.
Yeah, for picture in picture, there are 4 buttons. You can put right, top right, top left, bottom left.
More than 2 buttons.
Yeah. I'm sorry you didn't lose the scale up size, but we're not going to be using that anyway. So are there any questions on the scaling process, how to scale? and how to try to beat parallax. How you try and beat parallax is multiple photos, multiple angles, and actually straight on angles are actually the best. Do not really ever try to scale off of straight on shots is the best thing you're going to get. And that's why auction houses are so good, because they actually do not go angle. They'll do a straight on shot on the end of the barrel or on the back of the receiver or on the top or from the bottom up. And having these straight on shots and you keep kind of focusing towards the middle, you get a general idea how long it is. But you can also get a good idea of all your different dimensions with multiple shots. Multiple shots are the best.
Exactly. You can do that also with CAD programs.
Yeah. I'm doing this,
I know a chat person.
What's that? Oh, the Photoshop?
No, you can write a script to do the math for you.
Oh, okay.
Answers with something like that.
Yes, you could, but can it help with parallax? I'm playing a drinking game.
I'm not.
I'm frozen.
Yes, it is winter. I hope everybody is enjoying the winter. It's been a mild winter.
I am not enjoying the winter.
Solar vortex over. When I saw the polar
vortex moving coast to coast.
When I saw the polar vortex, the only thing that I thought was, what was the movie? Oh shoot! I can't even think of the name of it.
Ice Piercer?
No, Ice Piercer. No.
2012?
No, when the cyclones came down and froze New York City.
Oh, Day After
Day After Tomorrow is.
That's the bomb movie.
The bomb movie, which is a great movie. That should be actually one of our trivia movie nights.
Everyone wants to see Steve Gutenberg's hair fall out.
That's a different one. Did you get those two mixed up?
Yeah, and then there's the English one that I can't remember either.
Steve Gutenberg movie is a different one than Day After Tomorrow. Day After Tomorrow has a great performance by James Earl Jones.
As Gen X, that was one of our big things, is we're going to get bombed one day.
Yes, that we were all going to die. Our generation, we're told we're still going to die in the nuclear holocaust, but we don't have to hide under our desks anymore. And that's you never did an under desk drill.
Nope.
I did under desk drills because I lived in California and we did earthquake drills as much as you guys out here do tornado drills.
Yeah, we had more of a fear of tornadoes.
Yeah, we had the earthquake thing. I remember the janitor, his job was to shut off the natural gas to the school.
The tornado, I remember hiding out in the hallway, which would have been
I remember useful. Tornado drills because I did all the way up until 5th grade in this part of the country.
I do have a good story about when the police showed up because they were hunting a fugitive and they landed in the ball field after it had been raining for 2 weeks in the helicopter. And the sheriff got out with his bullhorn. He starts announcing nobody leave the school. Then they jump back into the helicopter and tried to take off, and the helicopter had gotten stuck.
Well, Matt, I am working on Din Djarin's jetpack right now. And I can tell you right now that the plans for my Din Djarin backpack is hollow and will have storage space inside of it.
For liquor.
Or
snacks,
your wallet, or any other things you want to put in it.
Contraband.
So I am working on that. It's kind of funny because I'm trying to figure out if I should mount it the same way that the Boba Fett and Jango Fett backpacks or jetpacks are mounted, or if I should come up with a different way. But I really can't think of anything that's better than what's already been done.
The Larry Captain America magnet.
The Larry Captain America. No.
That was funny.
No, we're not going to do that.
Does it look good? No,
I hope photograph scaling has been well explained, and you know what? Hayden doesn't think so. I think I actually should have come up with the formula and had the formula shot up on there.
You said you were going to do that.
Huh?
You said you had that done.
I did have it done just before the show started. So the formula is, for recap real quick, the formula is whatever your reference, whether you have a piece or a part on the prop, you already know what size that is, or you can extrapolate. Sometimes you see something on there, it's like, ooh, that washer, that's got to be a washer. That's got like a washer for a 1/4-20 bolt, something like that. That might be, it's all you need. Like I said, for this little guy right here, our only point of reference for scaling this 3D print was the standard distance for the height of a chair from where your butt sits to the ground, and it's 18 inches. So we scaled this off of an 18-inch from the floor, from the butt to the floor, and actually it turned out fucking beautiful. So, but anyway,
I lost blood in that one too.
so the references, the formula, your reference divided by the measurement on your photo equals your key. And then from that point, you take your measurement multiplied by the key, and that is your scaled size. And remember, -10 or +10%. That's kind of the range you're working in. So if it feels too big, it might be. Also, don't ever be afraid to use your own
Judgment?
not just judgment, but your own intuition on this feels right, or is this. And lots of times when you're really intimately working with something, you know when it's off.
Like when somebody said that there were 137 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of water in the Pacific Ocean.
So,
No, I'm serious.
you'll just have an inside gut feeling lots of times when something is off. And always go ahead and take a break. And you know what? Sit it on the table and look at it. Walk around. Put it in your hand. Look at it. You'll be able to figure it out. And to be honest, photo scaling and screen capture scaling is going to get you within 20% plus or minus 10. That's the ballpark you're going to be in, and then it's up to you to adjust and figure out what works best. Sometimes you might just find that you've got the perfect screw to hold the grip on, and you're going to scale off that stupid screw. You can do that when you're scaling like a helmet, and you don't have a point of reference because it's a totally made thing. Then you scale it off of what you have, and that is your face. If you have, like I said, I scaled an X-Wing helmet off the position of the character's eyes. I measured my eyes and I measured his eyes, and then I used that. I used the distance between my eyes as the reference point to scale the rest of that helmet. So
With the calipers of head.
yeah, the calipers ahead. So there's many ways to do it. The best way to do it is just get out and try. There's plenty of materials you can use, like wood and foam, and to make up mock-ups. To say, yeah, I think I got my measurements right. I'm in the ballpark. It could be rough, it could be crude, but as long as you use those measurements and then put it in your hand and hold it and say, yeah, this feels right, then you can go on to refining that process and making it something, like this prop here, this guy, it's going to be a combination of plastic, wood, and aluminum. There's certain parts going to be made out of aluminum. Because I want metal tooled finish, like this top rod. It's going to have knurling done to it. And I'm going to do the knurling on it and get the knurling hopefully right.
This is better than my quarter
But I
scale.
guarantee that top piece on this thing is going to be aluminum. I can probably also say that this barrel section here is probably going to be a blank that I pour I pour into PVC pipe resin, and when it cures, it's easy. It just pops right out, and I chuck it into the lathe, and then I tool it down to what I want. It'll still have tooling marks in it, and so I'll probably make the lower barrel assembly, the barrel assembly, out of resin. This assembly I'll probably make I'll make the trigger out of aluminum because it's easier for me to tool aluminum on a smaller piece and not mess it up as I would on plastic and mess it up. So this thing is going to be a combination of resin parts, wood parts, aluminum parts. It's going to be all over the place, and it's actually going to have real metal parts in it because if you get a top view of this, you can see springs in there. So I'm going to have springs in it also by the time I'm done. I'm excited. I'm getting kind of jazzed up wanting to do this project again. This is probably going to be one of my. I want to do this project, and I also want to document this project as a shop build. And we've been talking about it for over a year, and we get the cameras down here, we set them up, and for whatever reason, the only thing we've ever documented a shop project is the Mandalorian helmet mold and the Bausch helmet mold. Yeah. And we don't just do helmets down here. So anyway.
Can you fluff me on my project? Because I'm waiting for the electronics to arrive. And
say what?
Yeah, the Proton Pack project, I'm waiting on the electronics to fit everything before I start messing with other stuff.
Okay.
And they're coming from China, so God knows when that is, because that's the only place I could find this freaking 28-segment display.
All right, quick recap before we end the night.
Hernan!
Hernan, there he is.
Tell me how warm it is in Chile. Because I'm freezing again.
Is he in Chile?
He's always in Chile.
Wasn't there some fun happening in Chile?
Brazil.
That's
That
Brazil.
was Brazil. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't worry, Hernan. It was all in Brazil. That was what was going on. 25C. That's
actually warm. It's like
centigrade.
Goddamn conversions. I used to be able to do this in my head.
Guess what, Hernan? -40 is the same in Fahrenheit and Celsius. That's the only place I can connect with you. No, and zero Celsius, I know is 30 degrees Fahrenheit.
30.
Oh,
or
77.
77.
Yeah.
Wow. Want to retire, don't you, down there?
I have friends
Stop
in
rubbing
Colombia.
it in, Hernan. There's no need. All right, recapping. Number 2, Etsy. Remember, if you want any blasters that I might make, Etsy.com or Etsy. If you want to see my full inventory, it's BlasterProShop.com. Next week, we will actually be doing a 3D print scaling. We're going to take everything we learned tonight and we're going to apply it to a 3D printed model. And then on top of that, we're also going to add on some other scaling techniques that are actually affordable within everyone's range and easy to do. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of searching to find the equipment, but most of the time you can find the equipment broken in your area for a couple dollars, and a guy like this guy can fix it for about $10. So we're going to do some more. We're going to do a little bit of that. We're going to play with some other. We're going to play with. We're going to scale.
I think Rodney's face palmed about 15 times. You're refusing. You're not ignoring him.
I am trying to get through the show. We're 23 minutes over. No. Anyway, so what we're going to do is next week, we're going to take this guy, because we had him last week, and we talked about him a little bit.
He's really bad at PR.
Who, me?
Terrible, yeah.
Oh, guys.
This is why we have Matt.
Oh, guys.
Matt is the talent.
Matt is the talent. Matt is the warm face, the warm, fuzzy face of Blaster Pro. Anyway.
You want me to grab your phone from me?
I don't want to see what's on that.
My phone?
Yeah.
There you go.
I do not want to see what's on that. God knows what will happen when you open it.
So anyway, next week, we're going to scale this guy up. We're going to talk about this guy. We're also going to show some other techniques for scaling that directly relate to 3D prints and what you can do with 3D prints and with some very inexpensive equipment. And you can also use this exact same technique actually on this item, and we'll actually show you in reference on a different blaster build that I did that I used that other equipment on. So
So we're not going to do the Rodney method of we print it up and it doesn't fit our head?
That still always happens. But anyway, what are you seeing?
I'm looking for this guy.
Let me see it. I'll put you in the neighborhood.
Why don't you do it yourself?
Oh my goodness, because I'm live.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, for the love of God.
Live. Didn't you not understand that?
What, this right here?
Yeah, hold on, let me see it.
There's nothing about anything in there.
Yeah, there is.
What is it?
Your friend being.
Ah, see? Anyway.
Yeah, but he's asking for it.
Oh.
Oh,
Do you not
for
notice?
God's sake.
And
Oh,
I'm
my
not
God.
correlated with the person like, I'm looking for a shout out.
I understand that.
I'll shout out you if you shout out me. That's the vibe I'm getting from this exchange.
Oh, well, I understand, but I wasn't prepared for a shout out. No links, no
Dude,
nothing.
Just say it. It doesn't.
Oh, my
I don't
God.
Read this. I'm about ready to get upset with you. Read the name.
Oh, he is getting upset.
Yeah, because you're being retarded for no reason.
Celebrity status. You know,
Prima donna. is what you are.
speaking of
It's like, I'm not talking about nobody.
speaking
except
of celebrity
my life.
status, I actually remember when we were actually eating.
I'm gonna cut you off.
Remember when we were eating
I'm gonna
dinner
cut you off if you're not gonna do it.
and we got noticed by some just walker-bys,
You think I'm joking?
fans? Hey, Matt. Join us next week when we work on this.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
You're gonna look back at this and you're gonna be ashamed.
Yeah.
What am I missing? I'm trying to run a show here. I know what I'm missing, but I have no prep.
You don't need prep. Just say it.
Just say the name of the goddamn
All right.
podcast.
Oh,
That's
for
all
the
you
love
need
of
to do.
God.
Oh, fudge brownies. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Dude,
Here we
why
go.
do we need to coerce you when it's so
Because
simple?
I wasn't prepared for that. I'm sorry. I literally I was drawing on this pad right up until here we go. Do a plug for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you need to check out this podcast.
Yeah.
The Force of Course, your
If-
bite-sized Star Wars podcast by Ted Beaver.
So Ted reached out to me just before the show when I was in prep. So Ted, I apologize if I was not ready. This was a totally unsolicited and totally unprepared deal. But the Force, of course, your bite-sized Star Wars podcast. And I believe he puts this podcast on with his children. I checked it out 2 seconds before the show started, and it's on it's an Apple Podcast, I believe.
I think that's what you told me.
It's on
Yes.
Apple Podcast. He's got a 5-star rating, which is much better than what we have. And
Yeah, they don't go into
much
negative
better than
stars
what
on
my
there like
own
they're-
crew will give me.
Especially for that spot. I can't believe you.
You know, I am the worst at promoting.
Everybody say hi to Ted.
Hello, Ted. Well, he was never even introduced. All right, anyway.
Dude, we've been hinting at this for over an hour.
I know. No, I'm not drunk.
Yes, you are.
I, like I said, I wasn't prepared.
Sober,
I
you
didn't.
would immediately recognize.
No, I would not have.
Yes, you would have.
I'm the clueless one. I get us in trouble.
You only got 3 marks tonight. You want another one? See, Hayden's getting all the love.
Because I know what I'm about.
You are the director. I should listen to you, right? All right.
Yeah, what would Joe do?
What would Joe do?
Joe would have ended this.
He would cut you off.
Joe would have ended this 25 minutes ago.
Joe would have completely cut you off.
Joe, it's funny
Not
because
because we've gone over the mark, it's
we
because you refuse to follow up on
we could be in mid-sentence and Joe's like, boom, it's gone.
That's not the point I was making.
End of night.
That's not the point I was making.
I know it's not the point you were making.
This is what I have to live with, guys.
Well, I'm glad you guys all showed up tonight. So anyway, if there's any, if anybody wants to throw anything in the comments or any more things you want to learn about, especially scaling, anything I missed that you might need, if you might need any help with your homework on scaling something of your own, or if you're an uber nerd like me and have been trying to scale up things from tracing it out on a paused VHS, or actually, I've paused. How deep does it go? I've paused.
Skinemax.
No, I've paused television that I recorded on VHS and went back.
Uh-oh.
See, I told you guys. All right.
Are we wrong?
Are we
Yes,
wrong?
you guys were wrong.
That was the name that we were given.
I
blame you.
Off air, I'm gonna beat both of these people.
I'll believe it.
No, I was gonna give a plug in our final close, but you guys are just like come after me with like the hate sticks.
Because we thought you deserved it.
Yes, that's true.
Once again, I am vindicated. Everyone, join us next week
And we're
when
your
we
family.
start playing with toys. We're also not going to talk about scaling 3D prints. We're also going to talk about scaling toys. Like, who doesn't, not wanting to scale their ATST to the heights of, wah. Anyway, join us next week. We'll be here, same bat time, same bat channel. Hopefully, Rodney will be here in perfect health and both functioning feetsies. If not, we'll have Matt to replace him, and we'll not talk about Rodney anymore at all.
We'll scrub from the intro.
They have to take a melon baller to my foot again.
Scrub him from the intro. You're heartless. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Yeah, it wasn't that